everybody, Morgan with Event Answer here, and today I want to share with you how I put together this gorgeous pink chiffon backdrop. It's multiple layers of colored chiffon, and this was inspired by a photo that my client saw from a Martha Stewart wedding image, and it had this really light and airiness as a wedding altar, but for me, I'm using this as a backdrop for a stage. So follow along and I'll show you how I made this for my client's event. I ran out to my local fabric store and picked up 4 yards in light pink, a light peach, and a white color, and this will fit my 8-foot tall backdrop stand plus a little extra to have that draping at the top. So make sure you buy your fabric according to how tall your backdrop is going to be. And I chose chiffon because I really love this airy nature to the fabric. You know, it moves in a fluid way, and once you put lighting on this, it's just going to look really ethereal with the sheer nature of the fabric. Now, the one thing to keep in mind with this fabric is it's pretty shifty when you try to lay it out. So I'm going to be cutting strips that are 6-inch wide by 4 yards long, and this is a little tricky to do. So I did my best in laying it out as flat as possible, and the key is to not stretch the fabric, because if you pull on it, it's going to make your cuts look kind of wonky and curved. Now, if there's a seamstress out there who can leave a comment in the description box below, I would love to know if there's a better way to do this. What I did was I took the fabric and the long side, I folded it up a couple times and then straightened out the edges as much as I could and got all the rumples out, and then I actually taped it down to my cutting mat and to the floor because I had to work on it on the floor because it was so large. And this was the best way I found to keep it from moving on me as I cut it with the rotary cutter. So I repeated this step all the way around all 4 sides of the fabric until it was secured in place, and then I got out my 6-inch wide fabric ruler as well as my rotary cutter and cut off the fringe edge to make sure I had a nice clean cut for my first 6-inch strip. I tried to go over every section a couple times with the rotary tool without moving the ruler because I am cutting through 4 layers of fabric here. I want to make sure I get a really clean cut. That wasn't always possible, so once you get it cut and you start pulling away that fringe edge or a finished cut, be very gentle because you don't want to just yank on it because that'll shift all the fabric underneath your ruler. So very gently pull it away. If it doesn't quite come loose, just go back over it with your rotary cutter again until it's completely free, and then pull away that scrap material. I then proceeded to cut 6-inch strips out of all the rest of the fabric, and the key here is to just keep it as square as possible. Don't let the ruler shimmy on you and try and get really clean cuts. I also found that when you pull the tape off, you want to be really gentle because if it's on a cut edge, it can fray it. Now, the frayed edge did not bother me because it kind of fit with the look that I was going for, but if you want these edges to be really clean, be careful as you pull that tape off. And I just repeated this for all 3 colors until I had all of my strips cut. The next thing I did was set up my backdrop stand and put on my white backdrop fabric. Not only will this block your view through the chiffon, but this is also how I'm going to attach the chiffon to my backdrop stand. I also have my stand lowered so it's only about 5.5 feet tall instead of the full 8 feet, and this will make it a lot easier to hang all of the fabric pieces. So I'm just going to fold over a little bit of the top of my fabric piece and then put it over the top of my backdrop stand, and taking a large safety pin, I'm just going to secure that safety pin through the chiffon into the pocket of my white backdrop fabric, and that's how I'll hang all of my chiffon pieces. As I'm hanging all of my chiffon pieces, I'm blending in which ones are in the back and which ones are in the front because I don't want them all to be dark pink in the back and all white in the front. I'm mixing it up and I put them up and I end up moving them around a little bit, but the main thing is I want all of my chiffon pieces to overlap so you can't see the white backdrop fabric peeking through. And I want to make sure I'm varying that top fold length so you get that nice mixed look at the top. It's going to add more texture and definition to the fabric as we go. I am keeping the overall length of the backdrop in mind, so I'm not putting too much fabric into that top fold, and that makes sure that all of my strips are actually going to be 8 feet long at least, so that all the fabric is touching the floor. And I did a nice pool at the bottom, which I really loved. I didn't want any free hanging, so you'll see in a moment here it all up at its full height and with a little bit of pooling at the bottom. I hope you found today's project inspirational. This just goes to show that pictures you see on Pinterest or the internet can be achievable in lots of different ways, and they don't have to be Pinterest fails. So I hope you gained some tips from this, and if you give it a try, let me know. I'd love to hear about it in the comments below. If you'd like to see other videos similar to this, I've got some over here, and make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any future videos. So until the next time, stay creative!